Hey guys, how's it going? Another nice Saturday, and the yard sales are fairly decent. So I want to grab some stuff. Give you a quickie look at the truck. I got to go back and get one other piece, but I'll give you a quick look over. That's what we got so far. And what do you think is inside there? I know that's not much of a hint, so I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Electric and childhood. Say my childhood. Anybody in my genre childhood? Make some guesses on that. We'll show it later. I'm gonna unload this stuff, and I gotta go back get something else for the tractor, and then we'll take a better look at the pieces that we got. And do a cold start. All right, let's see what we got. That's more deck. Does it have a choke? Looks like all the way up should be choke. Hydrostatic drive, we're gonna pop the brake off. My car on. Brakes off. Stuck on something. I don't know if the winch went. The mower deck might have went up over the winch. You see? Yeah, right there in the stud. It's up over it. Yeah. Do some grunt and lift that up off of there. I think I got it now. Let's see if it'll start without the choke. Buy a four-wheeler. $200 your best offer. I don't know what an Edge 250 is. I'm guessing it's a Chinese knockoff. Liquid cooled. Something's going on right there. Okay. Busted up the case or something, blew out, or had a coolant leak, my guess. Well, came out, talked to me, he says, make me an offer, any offer, it's my son's. I want it out of here, I'm tired of working on it. The guy was a mechanic. It's missing the cooling fan, it's just gone, it's not there. It's a liquid cooled. He had it filled with water. The system failed because at one time I guess they had a leak and they backfilled it with water. Sat over the winter time and it cracked the heater core. They patched it, and it cracked the side of the cylinder and they patched it. It's got fluid in it now. It starts, it runs, it drives. Again, I offered, said any offer. I offered him $100, and he tried to get $150 out of me. I think it's kind of a pile. Again, being a Chinese quad, and the amount of stuff that I've been bringing home. I went up to 120, he went 140, and I said, you know, I think I'm gonna let it go, and I did. So we'll let that be a fine for somebody else. It's Brian, possibly he wants it, but we're gonna let that one lie, and I will get into something else. So I'm on my way to go pick up the last piece of my John Deere, throw that in the truck. You guys want to have a little yard sale-y kind of conversation about power equipment? So what happens in my area is the equipment sits roughly for 6 months out of the year. It's you cut your grass for 6 months, you possibly could use your snowblower for 6 months, and then it sits for 6 months, and then they change the fuel around here. In my particular area, it's hard to find ethanol-free fuel. You could find it, but you got to go travel, go get it. So most people do not get it. Even myself, I don't chase it and get it unless it's the end of the year and I try to get like a 5-gallon jug, and the last fuel that I put in my stuff, I try to run that through it. But if not, the stuff just kind of goes bad over the time. It attracts moisture. If it's sitting in a garage or a shed and the temperature changes greatly from day and night or whatever, say if you know, anywhere from, for us, it can be 10 below zero to 110 above, especially inside a building, the gas tanks or the fuel tanks draw air in and out. They breathe, they expand and contract, When they do that, they also take in moisture from, is that a yard sale sign for us going? Let's see where it's going. It's going that way. All right. So the alcohol in the fuel, the ethanol in the fuel, attracts moisture, water. Water gets into the system, and then the water is heavier than the fuel, so the water goes down to the lowest part generally meaning the carburetor. And this is without anything even moving, without even touching anything. It will slowly work its way down the fuel line, it'll work its way right into the carb, and now water's sitting in the bowl instead of fuel. And that then allows the corrosion to start happening, and come springtime, they won't start. And even if you drain the fuel, put new fuel in, until you pull the float ball, it is not going to clean itself out. It's just not going to work as far as you have to get the water out of the bowl. The jets are too tiny for it to suck the water up. Like a car, sometimes you can cup it, like rev it up, cup it, your hand over it, hit the choke, and it'll suck the water up through it, but not on the tinier jets, you know, something that's, you know, 8 horsepower. The jets are the size of a human hair for the most part. They're very tiny, and you just can't draw the fuel up. The fuel is much more thinner, probably the best way to say it, and can be drawn up. So that's what happens to the equipment around here. What are you going to do about that? Well, there was a time in the 70s, you know, every other guy was very handy, and you go have that repaired, pull a float ball down, go clean it, no problem. But people have changed. They're not, you don't get into that as much. Most vehicles are not as maintenance necessity, you know, modern cars, as they used to be. Like, you know, you used to see your dad on the weekend putting plugs and changing the oil in his car. It seemed like every other weekend he was working on his car to keep it going during the week, and not so much. So that's kind of gone by the wayside as far as people having the capacity to wrench on their own stuff. So they have to go pay to go have it done, and it's expensive. You want to figure 90 bucks an hour or something like that, maybe in our area. So if you have a lawnmower or a garden tractor or whatever it is, and you are going to have someone, first you got to get it to where it needs to be fixed. So if you don't have a truck, you're kind of screwed. And if you're going to have it repaired at 90 bucks an hour, so say it's a garden tractor, and it's going to be a 5 hours worth of labor to go through, especially if they're, you know, they've been left and abused. They're going to hit you up for 4 or 5 hours of labor. So you're at $400 or $500 just in the labor, and then the parts they mark up too. You're another, you know, say $100-200. So your bill's going to be 600 bucks, and yeah, say $650 for it, and you still have a 13-year-old tractor where you can go around and go buy another one for $12.95, and you know, just start all over again. So that's why there's a lot of power equipment around in my area that's available. Everybody roughly has 2 acres, so I'll continue the story in a minute. All right, so we got the snowblower. It's in the back, and what's also good is he got the wheel weights and the chains he has to go get from his dad's house. And he'll have them later on this afternoon. I don't know if I'll catch them on video or not, but that also came with the tractor, which is good, because I was kind of wondering how he's using a tractor with a snowblower without those pieces, because they essentially go nowhere. So where was I on the story? Just with power equipment in general, what happens in my area is the stuff sits for 6 months. It usually has a start problem. The tires go flat. If it's a hydrostatic tractor, they don't roll. It's a pain to try to get them to somebody else's facility to go get them fixed. And that's exactly what happened with this one right here. It was sitting behind the house. The parents, the father bought a new tractor. That was his old one. Gave it to his son. His son used it for a season, but the yard's not that big. He actually has a push mower. He'd rather just use a push mower. It's easier to get in all the little nooks and crannies when you have a small yard. And the same with the snowblower. If you're not mechanically handy, even just changing the snowblower over from from the mower deck to the snowblower, especially on the older tractors, it's a bit of a pain to go and do. I'm not quite sure about this one, but some of them are really a pain to get swapped over. So it's becomes more of a nuisance to them than it is a plus. So it ends up sitting at someone's property at a yard sale. They look into the cost, how much it's going to be to get fixed. They don't have, a lot of times you don't have the capacity to go get it someplace to get repaired. Don't have a truck, don't want to rent a trailer. The cost of it, again, is like $90 an hour to go have something looked at. So if you have 5-6 hours of labor in it, and say another 100 parts, $650, $700, you have especially like a Craftsman mower. They're only $1,300 new, like an LT 1000. They're just a little over $1,000, especially when they're on sale. So to them, it's better they just go buy a new one, gets delivered from Sears, and they're done. And the old one just, whatever they can get with it. Sometimes it's even free. They just give them away. Like the last Craftsman you saw me do, it was the neighbors down the street. They were done with them, and they just got rid of them. Around here, everybody roughly has 2 acres of land, so if you're in the right communities where some landscapers don't, you don't want to go high end, because landscapers are going to take care of those properties, and those people don't own any power equipment at all. And too cheap on the other end. The stuff is so wore out, you don't want it anyway. So middle class neighborhood, 2 acres of land, there's a lot of stuff that pops up and is available. And that's where I kind of like to look. And the secrets of what I do and how I find power equipment, it's not that much of a secret, but it's actually very simple, but it does work. As a yard sale here. I already picked that one earlier. Got something from there. Forget it. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with the story. The way I go about getting the power equipment when I go out yard sailing, other than the stuff that you can see on the road, out on a yard sale, is I just ask. I go up to the people, especially if it's like say like that property there in front of us having a yard sale. It's a farm. It's there's stuff that's been laying around, and especially if it sits for a while, they don't have the capacity to move it. And I just ask, you have any old mowers, snowblowers, tractors, dead or alive, that kind of thing, and they'll come back with. And they'll think for a second. Yeah, actually let me go call my husband. Go text him. And there'll be something in the backyard that's been there for 4 or 5 years. They already got the new machine. The old one was just forgotten about. Taking up space in a garage or in a shed or outside, whatever it is. And I show up with a truck. I got cash. I got a winch in the back, and I got ramps. I can pull right up. I'll get that thing out of there. I got a jumper pack. We blow up the tires. I'll get it on the truck, and it's gone. The problem is gone. And that's how I come across a lot of my stuff. And again, for them on their side, it's good for them too, because they're able to get rid of it. They don't have to deal with it, and the price to get it fixed to them is no bargain, because there's not many people who wrench on stuff anymore. This is a yard sale. Hardware and tools, knives and gloves. That's my secret. Now that everybody else is going to know, I won't find anything anymore. But there's more than enough of the stuff out there. All right, guys, I'm going to go shut off for now. I'm going to go have myself brunch and go look at a yard sale. And then I'll bring you back when we get back to the house. There's a snowblower. It's a single stage. It looks like probably a 42 width. That's a guesstimation on my part. Looks pretty decent. Single stages really spin very fast. Cutting edge got some wear to it. Not terrible. They really jam up good when you hit a newspaper, because this thing is a blur when it's running. The only thing you see is the center. On a 2-stage, this is spinning very slow, and then there's another impeller back here that throws it up that's spinning really fast. On these, this is just whipping really quick, and it just draws it into the center. That hits a paddle, and the paddle just flings the snow up and out of the chute. So that's got all the goodies with it. We have our hardware. We're gonna go pick through that, set all that up. Again, that was 30 bucks with the gloves. I grabbed, I think 6 or 7 pair of gloves. And a mixture of different ones, from mechanics ones to, you know, more gardening type ones. And just a ton of hardware. I'll go through that in a minute. Should be a good score though, I think, on that. Just gotta put it all away, that's the pain part. Alright, some prices on things. So, I don't know if what I did or didn't say. The blower, does not run, said it had carburetor problems. It's bike week. Her husband was off, it's a bike week, and he couldn't answer anything. She said he used it last year, but he was having carburetor problems, which is, you know, par for the normal conversation that we seem to have on all of the machinery around here. But it's an 8-horse, seems decent. Tires are flat, they're not dry rotted. You know, the paint's kind of beat on it. I offered 40, she said how about 50? I was trying to stick to 40, and we ended up with 45. So I paid 45 for that. The tractor is a fairly decent one. It's not a garden tractor, it is a lawn tractor. That is what the L stands for when it says LX, lawn tractor. Water cooled or liquid cooled Cowie twin. It's only 15 horsepower, but they have a tendency to, when you try to compare it to some of the other horsepower engines, some of the other ones are skewed what they actually are. I think it was Sears that got in trouble for lying about the horsepower ratings. They were all the same engine. They kept bumping up, you know, 16 horse, 18 horse, 20 horse, and I think it was 16, 18, and 20. They were all pretty much the same engine, all the same 16 horse. They just kept cheating on them. They got in trouble for that. I think there was a lawsuit. Allegedly, I'll say that. Pretty sure it was Sears. Or Craftsman, I should say. Decent shape. The seat's kind of ripped up a little bit. It's got a cover on it. You can see it's not terrible, but it's got some issues. We'll leave that alone. Mower deck looks fairly solid. The cooling level looks fine on it. The battery was good. Hold on. Yeah, sorry about that. Don't remember where I left off. Anyway, liquid cooled. It seems fairly decent. Runs nice. I'm sure I'm gonna have to do a full service through it. Gotta still get the wheel weights and chains, but other than that, it seems to be a decent machine. Does that have an hour meter on it? No, don't see one. Not quite sure of the year too. I'm gonna say probably around a 2000. Not sure where the tags are. I don't know how to read it. I don't like I know how to read it anyway. What do you guys could probably answer? Mystery box. Did you make your guesses already? Alright. Well, that's what's inside there. There's a little slot car set. And this is definitely early 60s, I would say. Well, 60s. Could be anywhere in between. Because started around 1970, AFX was the more popular one. But 60s, this was the predecessor to that. And I quickly looked at this. I don't know what we have for cars or whatnot. So the cars are the most valuable part. I think we got a Jag, Mustang, a couple of bodies.
Look how tiny the tires are. And later on, he actually gave you slicks. So it looks like it's probably a good, oh, maybe 5 or 6 cars here then. It's 2 complete. See what, 3 chassis there. A couple more bodies. Thunderbird. Ford. Let's see what we got on this side. Busted up. Is that a Galaxy? Yeah, it looks like a Galaxy. And another chassis. So we'll probably get 3 or 4 cars out of that. Unless you guys see any more. I wreck everything. What's that right there? Usually there's a box with all parts and everything. There you go. Used to buy like the gears and the brushes and shoes. Yeah, that's what's in there. Usually ours was like a ridiculous size. It was a case of just cars. You would have them all lined up, and by about a year or so, it seemed like you had another case just full of broken parts from all the busted up ones, especially when they go flying off the track and launched across the room. It's kind of a cool setup. I like the box that they made for it. I don't think it came with that box. I think somebody made it for it, but it's a pretty neat little setup. I don't see anything else in there. And what was the price of that? And she said, throw me an offer. I said 20 bucks. She said, I was thinking exactly 20 bucks. So we paid 20 bucks. How cool is that? That'll go with my stash. I love that stuff. Hey guys, we're going to kind of wrap up the end of this video and call it. I got some hardware to put away. I want to go put this video together so you guys go see it tomorrow morning. And that's it. I want to thank you all for kind of coming around, hanging out, doing some wrenching with me, a little bit of picking. And this is a little teaser of what's up and coming. This came from a pick that Brian and I did yesterday. We actually beat American Pickers to a property that they're going to be at next week. But we got to take some stuff out of there before they even got to see it. So you guys can take a guess what it is. And I doubt any of you are going to go get it. And what else to pick the weights and the chains up with an old bug. They rusty? Ah, they're fine.